Coach, coming up on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib, we're going to have your quarterback, Cooper Bates, along with defensive tackle Carson Ernsten. Two guys that you're very familiar with. Man, I had it and I screwed it up. All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Inside Tiger Football, Episode 3, brought to you by Rib Crib. We're joined by head coach Josh Blankenship of Broken Arrow. Coach, a lot of positives to take away on offense against Union. 247 total yards of offense against the Redhawks. I know it's still not exactly where you want it, but you got to be pleased about how they played and bounced back after that Bentonville loss.
Yeah, pretty low bar after that first game. If we could even just get a snap at times and we look a little bit more functional than we did the first week. The guys really did a good job of focusing on what the plan was, which, looked complicated. But the kids picked up on it pretty quick. And, by the end of the week, it was sharp and clean. And then going into the game, I was really pleased, especially the first half, with how tough they played, how focused they were. I didn't even think they got too high at halftime, having the lead there at half. They were pretty dialed in. A couple of little mental errors to get the drive started in the second half was really critical. We really needed to take advantage of having scored right before half and then getting the ball in the second half, and we didn't take advantage of that. And that was probably my most disappointing moment there offensively for the game, was us not really taking advantage there. But overall, Cooper Bates was what we wanted him to be and need him to be. We really grew a lot up front in our run blocking. We've got to get better at pass pro. We all know that. And then we had, the guys that we expect, at least as coaching staff, to show up. Caleb Barnett did some things that a lot of people don't even see that were huge. And then obviously Octavian was the one that most people saw really splash and show up and have a big game.
You brought up Cooper Bates. I mean, he completed 50% of his passes and was able to spread out that offense. I mean, he's starting to dial it in a little bit and going off of the offense that you're trying to put together, it seems like.
Yeah, Coop's the mainstay. I mean, he's the guy that you are, concerned with the least, other than staying healthy and keeping him. But he's the guy that's the steady one. It's giving those other guys what they need to get traction as a group. But Coop is the steady Eddie, man. He's the guy that's poised. He's kind of trying to elevate that group around him to keep going, and obviously got a little traction in that game finally, and hopefully we can continue to progress.
You brought up Octavian. I mean, 71-yard touchdown to the house, over 100 yards. I mean, we kind of bring it up almost every episode, but I mean, he's still a freshman. Yeah. He came into the lineup starting this game. I mean, how special is he becoming just right now? And I know it's still a long ways to go.
Yeah, Cabry, Cabry Harris is our senior that we were really excited to have back, leading the charge at running back, and then he was out for this game. So Octavian really had to step up, and it was no time to grow into it. It's here you go. It doesn't matter what that 9 is next year, next year roster name is. It's your time, and I thought he ran with it well. Was poised, comfortable, especially after getting that first one that popped and took it all the way to the end zone. You could really see him settle and really focus in.
And on special teams, Hunter Martin's 40-yard field goal in the third quarter. I mean, kickers, they always get labeled, the positive and negative kind of falls on them. But, I mean, he's kind of been a mainstay for you, especially on special teams.
Well, he had a great year for us last year, and so having him back is a luxury. We've got some other kids that can really boom it, but he's the guy. We talk about trust and guys that have been in those moments, and we had him out there. We put him out there 2 times, I think, the previous week that were not gimmies, and we didn't connect on them, but gave him another opportunity for even a longer one, and everything about it was clutch. The protection up front, the snap, the hold. Keaton Johnson on the hold is really committed to doing that and doing it really well. And then obviously Hunter finishing it off with putting it between the uprights was big.
Now take me back to the touchdown before halftime. What kind of a wacky fumble, but a very heads-up play as well for just your core of offensive players. I mean, break it all down for me.
Well, there was the live version, so we're on the we're on the visitors' sideline. We were, I think we called a timeout, we called a timeout with 3 seconds left, trying to decide if we wanted to kick a field goal or go for it, knowing it was going to be the last play of the half. Decided to go for it. Ran a QB sneak. So all I saw was a scrum. The mob right there, like a rugby scrum right there at the goal line. I see the official on the far sideline. I see his beanbag go out, which usually means the ball is out. And then like 2 seconds after he threw his beanbag, he signals touchdown, and then the melee ensues. So I didn't know what had happened other than I saw the beanbag and touchdown signaled. And then you see the film, and it was pretty much that way, the scrum. The ball all of a sudden trickles out of that scrum and is laying right there on the goal line. And you see little Caleb Barnett run around the whole defense in the end zone. I don't know how he saw it in the first place. Runs around full speed, picks it up, and holds it up in the air and starts jumping up and down. They signal touchdown, and that's how we finished the half.
I'm glad you brought up Barnett.
Yeah.
Senior guy that has been here for a long time, to be that intelligent, to pay attention, that the whistle wasn't blown.
Right.
I mean, some of these things you can't teach. It just becomes natural for a player. I mean, just tell me how special he is, and just in that moment.
He is, exactly. And I don't know how you describe it. There's guys that, on defense, you talk about ball hawks. They just seem to be the guy that always find their way to the turnovers, the guy that find their way to the big hit on the ball carrier. Offensively, Caleb, for all the things that people do see in his explosiveness, there's so much that they don't see that he is unbelievably explosive, obviously, but he's very, very physical. He's got a very high football IQ. We've got a victory play where the quarterback, takes a knee, run out the clock, and one of his jobs is right there by the quarterback, and you teach them, right there in that situation that their priority is to see the ball, the exchange on the snap, make sure we're not fumbling the snap, see that before you do anything else, which is a simple little thing, but we practice it. And this wasn't quite that, but for some reason he still was aware of where the ball was, even though we couldn't see it on our sideline.
Do you remember what you said to him in the locker room? Because I'm assuming it was congrats and stuff like that.
I didn't even know he was the one that had scored. I didn't know who scored, who picked up the ball. I just knew a beanbag went down, and then it was a touchdown.
That's the best part about all this.
Film, later on.
Well, coming up on the other side, we're going to break down the defensive performance with head coach Josh Blankenship. We're Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. Stay with us. There's plenty to get to.
Tulsa Bone and Joint, Northeast Oklahoma's sports medicine experts. We are pleased to help you and the athletes in your life with a number of surgical and non-surgical options. Tulsa Bone and Joint is proud to serve as team orthopedist for local high schools such as Broken Arrow, Owasso, Sapulpa, Cascia Hall, and Bishop Kelly. We're also proud to be team orthopedist for FC Tulsa. Tulsa Bone and Joint, moving life forward.
Your side hustle keeps you moving. We'll help you get where you really want to go. TTCU Federal Credit Union. Life is better in balance.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We're joined by head coach Josh Blankenship. We're going to break down the defensive performance against Union. You knew going into this matchup against Shaker Riceage it was going to be a very big challenge. How do you think you did overall stopping that junior quarterback?
Obviously we went into it and we talked about it's not going to be really stopping. It's going to be containing. And I think of all the facets of the game last week, I think our defense performance was what I was most pleased with. They got their yardage, they got their stats, but we were in a position to win the game because of how the defense played. They did a phenomenal job of being where they were supposed to be. A quarterback with those kind of weapons, he was able to find little weaknesses in the coverages and be able to dink and dunk and crease things, but the guys rallied to the football, got the guys down. I think we had two fourth down stops. Those are turnovers. Those are huge. And when we're starting to see that kind of production, steady play, I really have felt good about our front and our box. I think I mentioned that still after the first week. Young guys up there doing it, but really, really doing well and producing. And then the back end really grew a lot from week 1 to week 2. And we were down a couple more guys. And so we had new guys rolling in there in a big game and really did a good job of locking in and doing their jobs.
I'm glad you brought up the box and those front seven because 100 yards rushing, you guys held the Redhawks under that. They only had about 5 yards per carry. I mean, did you know that going into it that was probably going to be the outcome for you guys because the defense has been playing so well, or is it just a combination of just great players as well?
Yeah, this is a moving target for us. This is an ongoing growth process, and so I don't really get into the prediction of what we're going to be or how good we're going to be at certain facets. I'm hopeful, with our front and our box that we continue to really squeeze on that run game and continue to get better and better and better, and then pressure on the quarterback in those passing situations as any coach would want. But I'm starting to see the trend in that direction of being a strength of our defense. We've got a 14-year-old Carter Archer that started at nose guard and just physically was dominant in that game against a big-time offensive line. And for him to show up, and then some other guys at defensive line and certainly linebacker, really pleased, especially growing not only week to week, but against the opponents that they're going to in big moments. That's very, very encouraging.
I'm glad you brought that up about Carter, because the kid just turned 14. I mean, do you ever just sit back and go, I'm teaching a kid, literally a kid here, and by the time he gets to a senior, he's going to have this like the back of his hand?
Yeah, we're hoping it's by the midseason.
Sure.
Not only him, but all the you got Braden Hardiman playing corner, sophomore, and is really, really playing well. Not only in coverage and his responsibilities in pass coverage, but the way he's coming up and fitting the run game is fearless and physical. And I could name, guy after guy after guy that, I don't want to wait till next year or when they're seniors. I want to see it this year. And that's why we're throwing them in the fire now, especially non-district play. We want to go win every dadgum game we play. And we're going to make plans to do that. We're going to prep to do that. We're going to train to do that. But you hear us nonstop. The goal is to be red hot come playoffs. We've got this game that we want to go win, the Patriot Bowl, and then we've got a bye week to really continue to grow and get better before we start district play, and then you start counting them.
Is gone the days of let's wait till they're seniors, like the way everything else is with life. It's now or never type attitude. Like even if they are 14, it's better to throw them in the fire now to get them ready, especially on defense.
Well, every year's unique. I mean, it's the case this year. Mm-hmm. We're not doing something for the purpose of what it's going to be next year. This is what we believe in right now. This isn't for 3 weeks from now. This is for right now. And now we are excited about what the future is going to be because these guys are thrown in the fire right now. They're taking their lumps. They're exposing their strengths and weaknesses. They're staying coachable right now. That's the fun thing about young kids is they're sponges. So you can coach the mess out of them. But I'm really, really pleased with the seniors that are still leading too. You got Cooper and Carson Ernsten and some other captains and guys that they're fully aware that they're surrounded by young kids that are got to contribute to win games, and they're embracing it and leading the way.
For Union, they went 3 of 7 on third downs, just 1 of 4 on fourth downs. You touched on the fact that your defensive leadership with the upperclassmen has helped pay dividends as well, but that's got to be some big positives you could look ahead to for when the season continues.
Yeah, ultimately it's how much did we improve. We didn't win the game. We've got to learn how to win games. It doesn't matter. I know our guys are excited that if we can continue progressing the way we are, they would love to play those guys again in the playoffs. We've got to stay committed to the process so that we're in position to be able to do that. This gauntlet that we go through here at the beginning, week 1, the Arkansas State runner-ups, week 2, Union and the returning talent they have. Then you got Owasso, who's a state runner-up here in Oklahoma. That's the type of 3-game schedule that you're going to see in the playoffs. And, we didn't schedule it this way because we wanted it hard on the front end, or we wanted it, it just is what it is. But the approach that we're going to take is this is a dress rehearsal for what you ultimately want to do at the end of the season. So let's go win the game. If we don't win the game, let's see where we're at, what we've got to do to get better so that next time we see these people, we can beat them.
Up next on Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib, we'll have more from head coach Josh Blankenship, along with quarterback Cooper Bates and defensive tackle Carson Ernsten. Stay with us. There's plenty to get to.
2, 3, Racing towards the end of the month? Ask about our early pay options. TTCU Federal Credit Union. Life is better in balance.
For families who like to build their wealth while staying liquid, we have flexible rate CDs to keep your funds working hard, even when you're not. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. The right balance.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I'm Dan Hawk. We're going to get with head coach Josh Blankenship in just a little bit, but we're joined right now by senior quarterback Cooper Bates and defensive tackle Carson Ernsten. Guys, how you feeling so far on this season? We'll start off with you, Carson.
I feel like we started off a little bit rough, but we definitely cleaned things up, and we just got some little things to work on. But overall, I think
we're getting better at the season. We're gonna get hot at the end of the year and get ready for playoffs and go in there rolling.
Carson, I want to start off with you. Because you're on that defensive line, you see a clear vision of the quarterback and what that offense is going to bring to you. What do you get more amped up and excited about, just defending or going after that quarterback on the opposing side?
I don't know. It depends on the situation. I mean, pass downs, obviously, I love looking at that quarterback, seeing the fear in his eyes. But run downs, I love getting next to the running back and just taking them down. So,
for you, because you've been in the program for such a long time, do you have a favorite memory, or is there a memorable moment in your career playing football for Broken Arrow?
sophomore year, I had a lot of seniors that kind of took me in as one of their own, and so I'm trying to carry on that tradition myself.
What is that like, being the young guy in the room and there's a ton of seniors? Because Octavian's going through that now as a freshman.
Yeah, it's weird because it's I looked up to him so much for sure, and it just felt normal by the end of it for sure.
Now this summer, I saw on Twitter you've been putting up some big time numbers in the weight room. Weight room life, it's a grind. I mean, you can't just get in there and expect to do a lot. How did you buy in with the philosophy of the strength coach to, I'm gonna put up some impressive numbers to get ready for football season?
Well, the seniors that I was friends with sophomore year, Trey Federoff was one of them. He was benching 315, so that was one of my goals right there.
Now I got to go with you, Cooper. You dual sport athlete, baseball and football. Do you have a favorite? I know you got Coach sitting right next to you, so I expect the answer that he's going to want to hear. But do you have a favorite that you get to play?
It's pretty much whatever's in season. When it's football season, I'm ready to play football. I want to play football, and then when it turns into spring and baseball season, I'm geeked up for baseball.
Now, in your younger career, you told me defensive line, and you're still doing two spots on the football field, punting and being a quarterback. Do you have another favorite one that you like to do?
Punting's just the extra thing I can do. I always could kick when I was younger. I was a kicker and kick field goals and all that, so
we don't ask Coop a whole lot of what he wants to do. It's like, here's the next thing you're doing.
So I was going to ask you, though, I'm assuming it's not always common to have a quarterback be your punter. I mean, I've seen some other teams do it, but when you give him that trust, I mean, how important is that he can manage both roles?
Well,
Coach?
that's the biggest factor. What you said is trust. I mean, there's guys that can boom the ball, but maybe they're not going to get it off in a timely fashion. There's guys that maybe they've got a good leg, but they're maybe not ready enough for the big moment to actually catch a snap, or maybe a snap that's a little higher, or a snap that's dribbling back to them. Whatever the scenario is, you got guys coming at you. That's a lot of pressure. So there's a huge trust factor that really is the premier reason why he takes that role.
And I got to ask for the both of you, for you, what's it like being the quarterback? And for you, Coach, what's it like knowing that you have a guy that's so bought in being that quarterback? We'll start with you, Coop.
Yeah, I love being quarterback. It's fun. It's not. It's mentally hard, but physically. I just need to know where I'm throwing and where I'm running the ball, but I love being quarterback. It's an easy job.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Easy job, but I don't think it's always easy managing it, though.
No, but what he's used to is he's used to being the face of that group. I think he's been that for a long, long time. And, again, are there guys that maybe are twitchier that could carry the ball a little bit more explosively? Maybe, and we've got some of those guys. Are there guys that maybe have a stronger arm, maybe, but the trigger man, the guy that's leading that group, he's got to have a poise and a toughness about him that Coop just exudes. And the guys want to follow that, and the guys follow his leadership. That gives us the best chance.
Now, I want to ask you about Carson over here. Mm-hmm. They told me earlier 9 years together, and there's probably some other guys that have had that bond, but knowing that football is all that he loves to do, how special is he as a defensive tackle for you?
Well, I challenged him in the offseason to, expand his value. Like, what else can he do to contribute? And so he was one of the few that really, really bought into playing both sides of the ball. And so I won't be shocked if he ends up getting a lot of reps at offensive line at some point during the season, in addition to what he's doing on the defensive line. And you can make that a team-wide philosophy, but there's some guys that certainly believe in it and buy in more than others, and he was one of the ones that did that.
For you as a head coach, your goal is to win football games on Friday nights, but then get these guys to the next level playing a sport, and potentially baseball for Cooper, football. I mean, football might be in the back of his pocket as well. I mean, what do you see out of these two moving forward?
I see that they have a heart to go play, and they love competing. And to me, that's the first thing is do they really, really, really love to compete? And if they do, then no matter what opportunity comes their way at the next level, they're more likely to go do it and stick with it. Whether it's baseball, whether it's football, and both of them got some opportunities over the summer, in football and baseball. So they're going to get more opportunities. But the secret to that is, what do they do on Friday nights, and what film are they putting out there to show that they do their jobs and do their jobs at a high level consistently.
How can you two relate, because you're on opposite sides of the ball? How can the two of you relate to help one another to win games on Friday nights? We'll start with you, Carson.
Well, I mean, I've in practice a lot. I'm with offense, so I was actually with him the other day. But I mean, like, we're together like majority of the time. So, and I like getting up in his face when I'm on defense and he's on offense. So,
is he a guy that you want to have up in your face on defense?
No, never.
Break down his defensive ability for me.
Yeah, he can definitely bull rush the O-line, knock them on their butt, and sometimes he knocks them on their butt and they fall into me and end up getting the tackle that way instead of really wrapping me up. But yeah, I think what we both do is, like, we do good with leadership. We make sure that the boys trust us and can count on us to be there for them.
Who's more the jokester in the locker room?
Oh, I would definitely say me, for sure.
And what makes you funny in the locker room?
I don't know. I just like messing with people.
But when it's time to get serious, it's all serious. Yeah. Wrapping it up with you two guys, how special is it for you to get an offer to play at your respective sports at the next level? Because I know there's a lot of hard work that's involved in that, and I know the job's not done. I hope to see more offers out of the both of you. But just where it is right now, how special is it to know that you're both going to continue to play at the collegiate level? It's
awesome. Like, it's something that I've been thinking about since I was younger, for sure. And actually, on the drive home from Southwestern, I texted him with a screenshot of the offer graphic, and I was super excited. Before we get to you, Coop, what was that like for you, Coach, getting that offer letter just in a text message?
It's a reward. I mean, you want them to have as many tangible rewards as possible for the grind, the work, and there's no guarantee that they're going to get that. And so when they do, it's anything to celebrate, man. It's huge.
What about for you, Coop, when you got that first offer?
Yeah, no, it felt really good. I was really excited, but I'm just glad that I'm going to be able to either play football or baseball in the future and don't have to give up my first love and all that stuff.
One final question, Patriot Bowl. It's a big one. You know how special this is. Coach knows the other coach very well. For you guys, how big is this matchup with Owasso?
It's huge. I actually know some of the O-line guys over there, so it'll definitely be a big competition for us.
Yeah, and then sophomore, junior year, we haven't won this, and I think it's our turn to win it now. Ready to win it.
I love that, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. Coming up next, Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Curb. We'll break it all down with head coach Josh Blankenship. Get one final look at Owasso.
Life happens in a hurry. Our money experts will help you keep up. T2CU Federal Credit Union. Life is better in balance.
At Ascension St. John, you'll find advanced heart care, brain and spine care, and personalized cancer care. And we excel just as much in the things that can't be measured. Listening more closely, caring more compassionately.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. We're joined by head coach Josh Blankenship. Great stuff out of your two players. I got to dive into this Patriot Bowl because you know this head coach, very familiar with him. And it's brought up every single year, but what does this game mean to when you have to face your father?
It's. I know people don't believe this, but that's on the back burner. I mean, I'm consumed with what the Broken Arrow Tigers need, this group. What we need to be for these guys, what we've got to do in practice to keep getting better, what we've got to do on Friday night to win the game. I'm obsessed and consumed with our guys, our team, our program. It's a fascinating thing for everybody to talk about. I'm grateful for the fact that I get the opportunity to coach against my dad. I think we're going to really reflect when this is all over and cherish those times. But it is the other thing I'm grateful for is it's a little bit more normal. It's not the first time where I didn't know what the emotions might be. So I'm over it. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's easier to block out and focus on our guys.
Do either one of you text during this week or call, or do you pretty much just say, I'll see you in a week?
We've kind of got our routine things that we do to communicate, in general, checking in on each other. And then we always run into each other at my kids' games. So like yesterday, my daughter had a volleyball tournament. My 7th grader had a volleyball tournament out in Owasso. So I was sitting there with my wife, mom and dad, over there in Owasso's gym watching, Broken Arrow 7th graders play volleyball. So it's a lot of life is just normal, and then we'll see each other Friday night, and then I'm sure we'll talk the next day.
And not just facing your father. I mean, the Patriot Bowl, it's become even something even bigger. I mean, do you sit back and think about that at all, about how special it's become just itself?
No. It's something that I probably take for granted, the big moments that these kids get to have and experience, but I really am consumed with, what we need to do to put our kids in position to go have success, to go find a way to win a game. That's what I'm obsessed with right now. We a win is the deodorant for every minor issue, irritation, annoyance, all those things that as an aggregate end up being just gross, and if you've got 2 losses in a row, it just feels gross. And a win is the cure for a lot of things that keep you on track for what you're trying to do throughout a season.
So when you're breaking down the film, your father's schemes in a lot of ways. What do you see out of the Rams on film this time around?
A team that plays with the swagger like they played in a state championship last fall. Very talented, similarly talented, I think, to Union in a lot of facets. Defensively, they're very well coached. Obviously skilled and talented, but the very well coached and fly to the football, I think, is their greatest attribute on defense. Offensively, the offensive line is what's getting all the notoriety and the attention, but their skill kids are explosive. They had a receiver that really came into his own last year, and then they've got a new kid, Chalk, I believe, that is unbelievably explosive and really hit his stride against Jinx last week. And then I think they've got a QB that they've started to settle in on that, I think his job is just to distribute it to all those playmakers. So very talented, work's cut out for us, but it's, broken record. It's a gauntlet every week in 6A1.
You brought up the receivers, Jakari Thomas and Deuce Chalk coming over from Booker T. When you look at those receivers, because they've played a lot of football, what's the explosiveness that they bring to the table just being out on the football field for the Rams?
Oh, they're a constant threat. I mean, it's not a deal that you can just go cover zero the whole time and stop the run. You've got dynamic players out there. They're going to expose what you're doing if you get careless. It's very similar, though, to what we dealt with last week. I mean, you have a dynamic offense that's very versatile and able to attack you in a bunch of ways, and you've got to play sound. And that's not new. So it's a plus when you have those weapons offensively for whoever's got those weapons. But the job on defense remains the same. Is you got to play sound defense, do your job, and fly around, be physical, and tackle.
I know you guys want to get out of this week with a win, bye week coming up. Do you preach that to the boys at all, or is it just let's focus in on Owasso right now and worry about the bye week when it comes?
Oh, we're not talking about the bye week for sure. It's all about this week. 1-0 is the mentality. That applies where you're coming off a win, whether you're coming off a loss. That applies in the middle of a game, play by play. We've been trying to train the guys not to be afraid to fail. If you make a mistake and you come over the sideline, be coachable. Let's get coached up and go reset on the next rep. Go 1-0 on the next rep. You have a big play, let's celebrate it, but you still got to turn the page, reset, and we got to go 1-0 on the next play. So we're hyper focused on this game for Friday, and that's it. Now, even shorter vision than that, we're focused on our practice today. That's the ultimate goal right now is, are we dialed in for this practice that we got to have today to get everything out of it that we've got to get.
I got to ask you one more. You talked about the scheduling, how you want to play these tough teams, get you ready for playoffs and whatnot. Does that add to it as well with 2 back-to-back games on the road?
You know, it's tough. It's a challenge. But again, you know, it's not the way it's not a dream setup in the schedule. It's just what it is, and so we're going to embrace it. But even you get into the playoffs and you're going to go through a gauntlet to get to the gold ball, those oftentimes are on the road or neutral. So even your last 2 games, you play in the semifinals, that's going to feel on the road. It's going to be a neutral site, so it may not be a home field advantage for who you're playing, but it is still a travel game. And then obviously we know the championship's going to be in Edmond at UCO. That is a travel game, even if they give you the H next to your name on the program. You're going to finish on the road on those last 2 games, and so it's great training. It's great rehearsal for what these guys are going to have to do when they go chase a gold ball.
Coach, I want to thank you so much for stopping by for Inside Tiger Football, brought to you by Rib Crib. I also want to thank quarterback Cooper Bates and defensive tackle Carson Ernsten. We will be live at Owasso, 7:30 with Madison Dildine on the sideline. Devin Johnson will be off this week. My color analyst will be Dustin Smith. Kickoff is set for 7:30. Until next time, go Tigers. You know, I got more compliments on my blooper with you at the beginning of the take last time, where I said I was like, oh man, and then you laughed in the background like that.